So you mentioned a James Beard Award winner 4 times?
Yeah, 4 times. Yeah,
It
it's funny. I often told people when I won my first one that they should just rename it the "There Goes the Neighborhood Award." But yeah, I was lucky. It was a lot of it actually kind of began in the early 2000s after I had done my first kind of notable restaurant concept. I mean, I was being recognized by groups like Chefs Collaborative and the Beard Foundation. Early on as I was coming up as a chef, once I kind of moved out to Connecticut. But it was really like in the 90s, I did this restaurant of well-being with Drew Nieporn. I actually had been the chef de cuisine at Tribeca Grill for Drew. And we started doing consulting
Wow.
gigs with interstate hotels, doing restaurant freestanding style independent operator restaurants in hotel restaurant spaces to improve hotel food service, and we were really successful at it. We really were. The Myriad Restaurant Group was a pioneer in that space. So when Starwood Lodging started, Barry Sternlicht poached a bunch of interstate expats to run food and beverage for the W brand. They reached out to us again and said, "Would you guys come in and run 100% of our food and beverage?" So I was actually the executive chef and area managing director for like the first five W's that opened in the city.
Wow.
And that that work was in reaction to my son Chris having type 1 diabetes. So I did this. Before that, I was known for in doing local, organic, sustainable, supporting heirloom hog farmers, chicken, goat farmers, grass-fed beef producers, heirloom vegetables and stuff to the extent that I could, because the supply chains back in the early 80s to the early 90s were a little bit challenging when it came to that stuff. But pretty much solved my supply chain stuff by the Heartbeat days. But I did that restaurant because my son Chris was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. We significantly changed the way we were feeding our family at home because he
Yeah.
was 5 years old. He had a whole life ahead of him, and food would have everything to do with his life expectancy. So I was thinking there were things at the time that science was saying you shouldn't be feeding people, right? Your son. So how can I feed my customers things I wouldn't feed my family? So I created this restaurant of well-being called Heartbeat that generated a cookbook called Taste Pure and Simple, which was on Oprah, and that was my first James Beard Award. Was that, and then there were a few that I was lucky enough to get after that. But it all started kind of back then.